this Deandre Baker information because this thing gets wackier by the day. So the attorney for Baker says his client was playing Madden at the time of this alleged incident when it took place, whatever it was, last week, to the point where he says, yes, he was at the house, but he brought the game with him, brought his controller with him, hooked it up at the house, and then this took place in a different room in the house. So if this is, and they expect the charges to be dismissed in the next couple of days, I guess. I don't know.
So he's saying that he's a professional athlete, and then he's the target here,
correct,
and that people are trying to extort money out of him. And
that's right.
According to his attorney, he didn't have his gun with him. According to his attorney, he was a passenger in one of the cars when they all left this gated community. I mean, his attorney is doing a hell of a job in the court of public opinion. Now, what's happening behind the scenes and what's really going on with the detective and the police department and everything else, that's a whole nother story. But this attorney basically is stole the show in the court of public opinion now.
Does it say anything to you? Al and I do a warm-up show soon to be from 5 to 6. I'm just kidding. Does it say anything to you that what I read in the article was that the judge allows him to keep his gun? I mean, if he did what they're alleging, then you wouldn't do that. You
would take the gun away. But so according to his attorney, he did not have the gun with him that night. And according to his attorney, the attorney is holding the gun and he's putting it in a safe.
Yep.
So and then that also actually, I know that through his attorney, or I don't know, through the way the Giants do things, supposedly Deandre Baker called up and apologized for being a distraction and everything else. And I heard you and Al talking on the warm-up show this morning, the 20-minute warm-up show that you have, about the apology. Why would you apologize for something that, supposedly you didn't do? Well, I think what he's apologizing for is that somehow, some way, he got himself in this mix, and he has become the story, and he does not obviously want that to have an impact on his Giants relationship, and that's why he called and apologized.
Of all the things that the attorney said, there's one thing that makes more sense to me in the he's not involved thing than the others. Like the Madden thing to me is strange. The fact that, he is someone that they could pin this on, I guess I could understand that. But he said that surveillance video leaving this gated community with him as a passenger happened 2 hours before the 911 call. So that one to me is very interesting because he paints the case, as many other people would do with that information, which is you're telling me this crazy armed robbery went down, tens of thousands of dollars and watches and goods were stolen, and you waited 2 hours to call the cops?
Right.
So that to me was an interesting nugget, if that's true from his attorney.
Well, the other thing, too, is how many people corroborated the initial story at the beginning of all of this. And if it's more than 1 or 2 people and there's 5 or 6 people, eventually 3 or 4 of those people, if it didn't happen, are going to recant their story and basically say this whole thing was a setup.
Yeah.
So that could. I mean, then what? What does this kid do now?
Hope to get cleared, come back and play. That's what he's hoping for.
Yeah, that would be the best case scenario for Deandre Baker.
And I would put my money on that.
Well, I mean, because we're hearing from his defense lawyer. We're not hearing from the cops. We're not hearing from any of the investigators. We're not hearing from, the DA down there. We're not hearing from anybody from that side.
What we have heard of, though, Boomer, we've heard TMZ say there is no video. We've heard TMZ say that, the eyewitnesses are recanting. They're not talking. So what's the case then? And TMZ's not usually wrong. I mean, they're usually right on things.
Yeah, this is what I said yesterday. What is the evidence that led to the arrest that the cops still have? Because if they don't have eyewitness accounts that they can count on because people are vacillating on stories, that's out. If they don't have any sort of video on a surveillance and or somebody's cell phone, well, then that's out. So do they have Deandre Baker and Quentin Dunbar in possession of stuff from that? What is the thing that led to the arrest that the cops still have? And if I knew that, I'd be able to assess this thing a little bit better.
Right, and yeah, I guess the other thing, according to the defense attorney, that there was no $70,000 lost in a dice game the night before. Like where that story, according to the defense attorney, where that story came from is anybody's guess.
The whole thing is so clouded that we really have no idea. Is basically where we're at right now.
You got to worry who you're hanging out with.
That's exactly
That's really
right.
what it comes down to.